All the world's a stage, and all the men and women nearly players. They have their exits and their entrances. And boy, don't we love our entrances. Theater is a part of everyday life. It can make you laugh, it can make you cry, and if it's really good, it can leave a lasting impression that touches you somewhere deep within. Good theater is education, entertainment, and inspiration.
Theater is capable of magic and being the agent of change. And it's fun.
Theater is my passion.
Theater is phenomenal, a phenomenon.
Well, theater is a passion for those who follow it. And it is a very, very fulfilling kind of a passion. And it requires your whole energy, and it requires everything of you, but it gives you everything back as well.
Theater is vital.
I mean, theater can be anything. You know, theater is anything. It's performance of life experiences in some way.
Theater is stimulating.
Theater is life-affirming.
Theater is a place where a variety of people can work together to express what is most important to them about life.
Theater is life. Hello and welcome to All the World's a Stage here on Buckeye TV. I'm your host and creator, Corey Lipkins Jr. Let's talk theater. I love theater. It's one of my deepest passions, and I am not alone in that love. There are some people so passionate about theater and so driven by the art that they make a living of it, whether calling the shots, breathing life onto a page, or making it all come together on the stage. Let's meet some of these theater makers that we have right here in the Ohio State University's Department of Theater. Like most fields, management is very important. In the role of production manager, I introduce to you Sheree Greco. Miss Manager, tell the world what you do.
Well, I'm the production manager for the Department of Theater. The production manager basically coordinates and oversees the entire technical production process, also taking into account the artistic and creative processes as well. So if I break it down for you, it's calendaring. Production manager does the calendaring for the whole season, and also the budget. So once budgets get created, which I have input on, then my task is to oversee and make sure that we're all spending accordingly. I also advise stage management here. And so I'll mentor and train the stage managers, which are all undergraduate students, and they stage manage all the main stage shows. I attend every technical rehearsal, every dress rehearsal, up through opening. So it really helped guide the entire process from the first production meeting on. And I'm currently already planning the 16-17 season.
I know that's right, Sheree. And as a theater major, I thank you for all of your hard work. Now, I've heard through the grapevine that you worked on Modern Family. Tell the people about that.
Yes, I worked on Modern Family from its inception for the first 2 seasons. I worked in the studio office that oversaw production. It was really exciting to be a part of that because we had been tasked with making sure that we could shoot this on a lower budget format, and the way that we did that was documentary style, which the audiences are accustomed to seeing now. It's part of the show, and we built there are 3 homes in the show. We built all 3 homes on one soundstage so that we could take the camera and just go from house to house to house very, very quickly. This allowed for less setup time, less crew time, and so we were able to keep it within this new budget parameter. It was really exciting to be a part of that in the beginning.
Tell me, Sheree, why do you think theater is vital?
Theater in the arts is so very important. I think it allows our imaginations to expand and run wild, and there's really nothing that we can't do in the theater. We're not limited by, a camera or, anything like that. And so I think it gives culture and community a way to express ideas and a way to reach broader audiences.
How can the student body get involved in all of this greatness?
Students can get involved in the department fairly easily. We have from stage management positions, they're all undergraduate positions, so we have a stage manager for each show, plus assistant stage managers. Students can get involved obviously by auditioning and maybe landing a role on the stage. But as far as backstage, there's plenty of jobs and roles that need to be done, whether it's here in educational theater or out in the world. We need crew. So there's opportunities to work with props, wardrobe, scenic, sound, lighting, so many different areas. And we do hands-on training, so you don't need any experience to get started in the theater right now.
You heard that. Not now, but right now. There's the word from Miss Sheree Greco. In the wings, we have another theater lover with managerial ranking. I present to you the mistress of costumes, Ms. Rebecca Turk. Tell us what you do.
I'm the costume studio manager here in the Department of Theater at OSU. My job entails managing the shop, the costume studio, all of the workers within it, and it's mentoring young designers and technicians and some instruction in classes as well.
Now, I know for me the character is not complete until I'm in costume. Tell me, why is theater vital, and how do costumes enhance the experience?
I mean, it's part of the human experience. I think that we all have something in us that we want to create or experience something different and creative. I think that it's possible for anyone to do that. I think costumes are very closely tied to what we wear. So everyone has an opinion about how someone looks, and they help tell a story and enhance the character for a play. So I think that many people can relate to the costumes that they see on stage or film.
For sure. And I know this campus is full of students who love fashion, design, and whether they know it or not, costuming. How can these student creators get involved?
Well, we have a wonderful class, our 2000 practicum series. There's opportunities in all of the technical areas. And I think that that is a really great place to start. We also have introduction classes, introduction to production design, sort of seeing more of the research that goes into what we do and some of the theory. So those are two really great classes to start with.
You heard the lady. Don't just sit on your talents. Put them to good use. Thank you, Rebecca. I feel a song in my heart. One of my colleagues has quite the voice. She goes by the name of Hannah Hossjack. Hannah, can you do a little something for us?
This dress needs to seal the deal, make a grown man kneel, but I can't come right out and say bride. Can't look like I'm desperate or like I'm waiting for it. I've gotta leave Warner his pride, so bride is more implied.
Yes, implied. I'm gonna leave that note for you, Hannah. How beautiful, though. Like me, you love theater enough to focus your major studies in the field. Why do you love theater?
This is gonna sound silly, I love playing pretend. I love being given the opportunity to be someone that I am not, to play different people with whom I don't normally relate. I love the challenge. And I love the things theater can do. It's very cathartic, or at least it can be. It definitely has the potential to be incredibly cathartic, whether you're an audience member or a performer.
I absolutely agree. Thank you, my friend. Now, let's talk to someone so in love with theater that he is studying to become a master actor. This is his first year at The Ohio State University in the graduate program. I present to you A.J. Wright.
You are a sad and pathetic man. You're a homosexual and you don't want to be. But there's nothing you can do about that. Not all the analysis you can pay for in all the years you've got left to live. Oh, you could very well lead a heterosexual life if you want it desperately enough. But you'll always be a homosexual, Michael. Always. For the rest of your life.
Fabulous, AJ. You are working on your Master's of Fine Arts. How's your first year coming along?
It is a transition. It is intense, but I'm learning a lot. Yeah, it's been a really cool experience.
To me, theater is exciting. What excites you about theater?
For me, what excites me about theater, far more than acting, far more than directing or putting on shows, what excites me about theater is the human relationships. It is the connection that I can have as a mentor, as a as a leader. I think that theater has a power that not every art form has in terms of, uplifting, upholding the human experience. I'm a storyteller, and I always have been. And the thing that I personally love about theater is, it's about that human connection for me. It's about myself with another actor. It's about myself with my faculty. It's about myself with my students, and just how, we can kind of, to be all cheesy, but kind of change the world, through this medium.
And change the world we shall. Thanks for dropping in, AJ. Now I present to you Miss Eve Nordyke.
Well, I must say, Algernon, I think it is high time that Mr. Bunbury made up his mind whether to live or die. This shilly-shallying about the thing is absurd. Nor do I approve of the modern sympathy with invalids. I consider it morbid.
How could you not love this stuff, everybody? Miss Eve, my friend. This lady is my friend, everybody. Miss Eve, you are a part of a special program on campus. Can you tell us about it?
I am a Program 60 student. If you are 60 and older, you can attend any state university for free. You don't earn a degree and you don't get credit, but you don't have to take the tests or write the papers. So it's a terrific way to go to school.
I know you do a lot of sound design for the department. Is that your focus, or?
Well, I decided not to specialize. I specialized in my career, and so in the department, in the theater department, I decided to just do a little of all of it. Sometimes I do some acting, I've done some dramaturg work, I've did stage management. Right now I'm doing a lot of sound designing. That's been more recently.
That's cool. And I think that is a great lesson for all of us. Don't put yourself in a box or allow anyone else to. Miss Eve, what has been your best theatrical experience?
We did an original piece, In Here, Out There, which was about a child with autism, and I designed the sound for that. And that was very exciting because it was in a child's imagination. So we did superheroes and supervillains, and I got to do a lot of exotic sounds for that. A big storm, volcanoes erupting, superheroes fighting with a pow, bam, bop. That was really an exciting and demanding piece. The other thing that the acting role we did The Last Days of Judas Iscariot, and I got to play Judas Iscariot's mother, talking about how no mother should have to bury a child. That was very demanding role and very poignant. And then recently I have a group of friends who get together and read plays. We do dramatic readings, and I got to fill one of my bucket list items by portraying Lady Bracknell in Oscar Wilde's The Importance of Being Earnest, one of the most colorful characters in theatrical literature.
Tell me this. Why is theater vital?
And it's a way to get across a message in an enjoyable way without lecturing or chastising or any of the kind of baggage that goes with trying to teach a lesson. And it exposes us to different ideas, different ways of looking at the world, and different ways of interpreting what we see, seeing different people's points of view.
Thank you, Miss Eve. Now I'd like to introduce you all to another phenomenal woman who is near and dear to my heart. She has become quite the mentor, and I have had the pleasure of receiving both acting and directing training from her. I present to you all one of the queens, Miss Mo Ryan.
All I could think of was him. And all he could think of was me. We couldn't take a breath without thinking of each other. We couldn't eat if we were together. We couldn't sleep. We got sick at night when we were apart, violently sick. And my mother even took me to see a doctor, and Eddie's mother took him to see the same doctor, but the doctor had no idea what was wrong with us. He thought it was the flu or something. But my mother knew exactly what was wrong. She knew it clear down to her bones. She recognized every symptom. Will that do? Is that awful?
Horrible. No, Mo, that was phenomenal. Can you introduce yourself?
Yep, I am Maureen Ryan, better known as Mo to everybody, and I'm an associate professor of acting and directing.
Awesome. What does your position here in the Ohio State University's Department of Theater entail?
A lot. It entails students like you.
For the folks that don't know, what is the RSC?
Royal Shakespeare Company. So I've been kind of charged with coordinating that for the department. So that's been a big piece of my job over the last few years. And I direct plays regularly for the department. So
you're a busy lady.
Yep.
Now you're what I refer to as one of the queens of the department. Exactly how long have you been kicking butt and taking names?
I guess I've just always done it. My dad has this awful Super 8 movie. Super 8 movies were like tiny little reels that people didn't have video cameras, like they had little film cameras. And so he has a Super 8 of me he got me a disguise kit for Christmas, he and my mom, and so I had my little disguise kit, my Groucho Marx glasses on and a hat and a tie, and running around just trying to be somebody else all the time. And I did children's theater as a kid, so I've just always done it.
And you've always done it well, I assume.
Yep.
Mo, I have to ask you, why is theater vital?
I think theater is vital for a very specific reason, because it offers a communal experience. It asks a group of people to come together into a room and literally commune around a specific event. I think it's the same reason that you can watch like the rock video on TV, but you still go to the concert because you're in the midst of all these people. But theater confronts us with ideas and issues and things that we can grapple with as a community.
I absolutely agree. You spend a lot of time in the Drake Performance and Event Center at 1849 Cannon Drive. In case some of y'all watching don't know where we are. What drives you to put so much energy into it?
I I just love to teach. You know, it's really, I've been doing this for a long time, and it just feels wonderful to get into a room with young artists who are really hungry and want to kind of flex their muscles and find out more. And there's nothing more gratifying than being able to come and share what knowledge I have. Plus, you know, working as a teacher, you grow. You just get better and stronger, and you never stop. You know, you're always a student.
What was your best theatrical experience?
That's hard because there have been so many and they're so different. I would say the greatest challenge that I ever surmounted was doing a play called Copenhagen, which was really, really, really hard in the sense of it was steeped in sort of the world of physics. But it was about something so profound that it was worth the struggle to sort of fight through it, and to take a play that was incredibly dense and try to get it to an audience so that it was clear and accessible, and felt relatively successful in that.
Do you have any upcoming projects within the department?
Well, I'm directing a little play called Stupid Effing Bird. And what it is a very contemporary adaptation of Chekhov's The Seagull. Aaron Posner is the playwright, and he was having difficulty kind of reconciling himself with the Chekhov. He always loved Chekhov, and he just kind of needed to go back to it. And so really the play is his response to Chekhov, and it's very meta-theatrical, so it's got the play within a play within a play structure, and I think everybody's going to love it.
Now, as exclusive as you are, I know you have some famous friends.
Yep. Well, you know, and I tell the stories because I think students need to ask the question, why not me? And so I had a period in my life where I was with a lot of sort of why not me people who have done very well for themselves. Probably the most famous is Tracy Letts, who wrote August Osage County and won the Pulitzer Prize. He recently won a Tony for Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf. And when he was receiving his Tony Award, his acceptance speech, he hearkened back to our days together in Chicago and all the artists. And I mean, we would sit in a living room reading new plays in a cold living room, and we couldn't cook anything because they couldn't afford to get the gas on in the stove. And you know, so we've all done well in our different ways, that whole group of people, I think because we just were really committed artists and really cared about what we did. But that's the message for any student is, why not me? Why not you?
You're right. Why not me? Why not me? And why not you, and you, and you, and me? Why not? Thank you, Mo, for always being an inspiration. I'll see you later. In the wings, waiting to grace us all with her presence, is the queen of movement and voice, the one and only Jeanine Thompson.
Why, yes, I saw a hypnotist at the state fair. It started by inviting the younger members of the audience to come up on stage to be hypnotized, that is, if they were not too frightened. And he had them sit in chairs, and he told them to relax and follow his directions. He said, "At the sound of my clap, you will be hypnotized." Clap! And they all went weak in the chairs, just like old rag dolls. And then he told them to do silly things like, "Now you are a duck." Clap! And they got up and they started walking around the stage, waddling and quacking like ducks. Then he got them back into their chairs and he said, "Now you are naked." Clap! And they woke up and they were mortified to find themselves naked on the stage, and they tried to hide themselves. And then he got them back into their chairs one last time. And this time he said, "You are in a striptease contest." Clap! And one by one, when the hypnotist called, each one walked to the edge of the stage and started bumping and grinding. Oh, God. The audience went hysterical with laughter, including the parents. I couldn't believe the parents would allow such things to be done to their child, whether they were hypnotized or not. And then I looked a little closer, and I realized that several members of the audience were also one tiny step away from being under the spell of the hypnotist. Their eyes were closed, and they were swaying back and forth, hoping to surrender.
Yes. I wouldn't expect anything less from you. Oh, Jeanine, how long have you been involved with theater? Or maybe the better question is, how long has theater been involved with you?
Well, I started dance training when I was 4, so like many dancers, started very early, and I was raised in modern dance, and by one of the founders, one of the originators of children's creative dance, Virginia Tanner, in Salt Lake City, Utah. And then I went to the University of Utah in the modern dance department and their theater department, and then I started working professionally as an actor, dancer, choreographer, and then I was a part of a small company where we did dance theater work, and we toured work around the region and to New York. Yeah, so I've been working professionally since I was about 18.
So how many years has that been?
Oh, goodness. Well, I am now 57. Okay. Yeah, so that's a few years.
So you know a thing or two about a thing or two.
Yes, I've been around. Sore bones. Sore bones.
Speaking of sore bones, you had the esteemed honor and pleasure of working with the Marcel Marceau. For those of you who don't know who he is, Google it. Mr. Marceau was a French actor and mime, most famous for his persona as Bip the Clown. He received many merit awards, won an Emmy for his television work, and established his own pantomime school in Paris, along with Marceau Foundations in the U.S. to promote the art. Marceau performed professionally for over 60 years and has been referred to by many as a national treasure. And fun fact, Marcel Marceau was friends with Michael Jackson for over 20 years, and even Mr. Jackson said that he would use some of Marceau's techniques. Oh, Jeanine, can you tell me about your favorite memory with Mr. Marceau?
That's a difficult question because there are many. I worked closely with him for 20 years. And that included me producing his residencies, his workshops here in the United States, and being invited to demonstrate for him at those workshops. I think one of the most memorable was when I performed one of my very first mime plays for Marceau. It's a piece actually that I show in my mime classes here. And it was also performed in the piece that we did a couple years ago, There Is No Silence. It is a piece called Images of Woman. And it is a mime metamorphosa where it starts with youth, maturity, old age, and death of a woman. And it's all in a very poetic style of movement. And I performed it for Marceau as part of a large performance in a huge auditorium. And it was with that performance, with that piece, that he said that it was one of the finest pieces of metamorphosis that he had ever seen any woman do ever in his life. And it was after that that he started to welcome me to demonstrate and to be an example of his work. So I'd say that, showing him that work and receiving his feedback that very first time.
What a compliment. I must say that he was absolutely right, and it is such an honor to have you as a teacher and mentor. Let me tell you all, Jeanine was my movement coach for a show I did last year. Shout out to everyone involved with Trouble in Mind. And when I tell you this lady helped me to physically transform into a character over 40 years my age, she helped me to locate the cough from the pneumonia and to physically identify the arthritis and various other pains in the bones. One of my best experiences thus far. Jeanine, you have been doing this for quite some time. Do you have a favorite theatrical experience?
I would say right now, the work that I just did with the performer and choreographer, my collaborator for about 27 years, John Giffen. We just created a piece called The Dream Dancer and Other Hysterics. And for me, it was the crystallization of what I want to do as an actress and as a dancer, as a choreographer, as a storyteller. And for me, this one piece allowed me to really flex my muscles, explore in that entire range. Plus, I was working with such a seasoned, powerful, exceptional performer, which is John Giffen, and creator. The opportunity to share the stage with him is a great privilege and honor. And for me, I think what I learned the most in this show that I hadn't before, and it's what we talk often about in acting, and that is be in the moment. Not thinking about the next moment or judging the last moment, to just be in the moment. And I think with this show, I was able to attend to that, to just be present in a way that I'd never as a performer been able to do. So in many ways, what I just did was gold.
Too cool. You obviously are so passionate and experienced with the world of theater. Can you talk about theater's vitality?
Oh goodness, I think arts are vital to the world because we are human beings, and as human beings we need to be able to express our deepest emotions, express our thoughts and emotions, and to tell stories of our lives, tell stories of other people's lives. And I think the arts enables us to express in ways that are often lost when we are going through our day-to-day life, especially when there are times of deep crisis that I believe we're in now. How can we cope? How can we express images, moments of like the refugee crisis that's happening in Europe right now? We can write about it. We can write plays about it. We can make mime pieces about it. We can make dances about it. We can make paintings and sculpture about it. Something that, especially when we feel like we're not able to take action in any other way, at least maybe I can share my thoughts with the world in this way. That one, it gets it out of me, but it also shares with the world what is going on. And maybe what we can do about it. How can we change for the better? How can we maintain and restore humanity? I think the arts does that. I also think when we look back in time, one thing that's very important is looking at the culture of a period of time And the culture is often embedded with the arts that the people were doing at the time. So there's that too.
Well said. Thank you, Jeanine. I'm honored to know you and to have gained such valuable pieces of knowledge and training from you. Now, let's talk to the Queen from England. I have a couple connections. This remarkable woman has been a part of the Ohio State University's Department of Theater almost since its inception. I have had the most treasured pleasure of having tea talk with this queen. I present to you all Dr. Joy Reilly.
Growing older happens every day. Learning by the numbers. 5 months to age 1. Learning to say something. It's all amazing, anything. Age 1. Learning to say yes. Age 2. Learning not to say no. Age 4 to 21. Learning to say yes. Age 21 to 40. Deciding to ignore yes and no. Age 41 to 60. Afraid to say yes or no. Age 60 to 70. Teaching yourself to say no. Age 70. Teaching myself to say yes. When does it all become amazing again that I can say something? To be continued.
Lovely reading. She wrote that, by the way. Queen Joy, how long have you been involved in theater?
I have been involved in theater, well, I've been at Ohio State about 40 years, but as a student and then eventually a faculty member. But before that, when I was in Germany, I was involved in theater. It was actually a military theater program in Frankfurt am Main, and that's when I first got involved in the theater. And it was because I met an American Air Force guy, and he was interested in the theater when he wasn't flying to Vietnam at night.
What is your position within the department?
I'm a faculty member now, and I've been in various different areas. When I first came in here, I did a lot of acting, and then I started doing a lot of directing, and now I don't do that as much, although I love those areas, but I teach honor students. I used to teach, I was actually hired to lecture the Introduction to Theater program, and I did that for 25 years.
How did that come about for you?
Well, when I first arrived, I had been working actually as a journalist in Granville and Newark, Ohio, where my husband was stationed, and I then I got really interested in theater, and so I started going to the theater and doing theater reviews. And so I wanted to get better at it. And so I decided my husband agreed at the time, that we would move to Columbus if I could get into Ohio State University. And I went and auditioned for the acting program as an actor for the BFA program. It was an undergraduate degree in acting that we used to have here. And I got in. It was competitive. I got in, and so I was here for 4 years in an acting program as an older undergraduate. And then after that, they offered me an assistantship as a graduate student. And so then they asked me to start. I started off by teaching acting, assisting the instructors, the faculty instructors, and then eventually they asked me to either teach those classes or to also to lecture Introduction to Theater. And as I said, I did that for a long time, and I loved it because you could talk about everything in theater. And we really had a marvelous program. I took over from Dr. Charles Ritter, who really created the Introduction to Theater program at Ohio State.
Having a lifetime experience, what advice do you have for young actors and theater makers?
It's very difficult, as we know, to make a living in theater unless you have excellent training and a passion and a drive, and then you have to be lucky, and you have to be competitive, and you have to have all those things if you want to be an actor. It's not the same as being a designer. Designers have much more opportunities, but with actors, it's all about luck, as well as you've got to have the expertise, and you've got to have the ability, and you've got to have the passion.
In all of your years that you've devoted to the art of theater, do you have a favorite experience?
Ah, what a question to ask me. Yes, you mean, when I was acting a role, there were certain roles that I absolutely adored, and one of them was called The Lion in Winter. And it was a play about the story of Eleanor of Aquitaine and Henry II. And I just loved that story, and I got to do it at Ohio State. I also loved the opportunity to play Auntie Mame, and to do that for for the two people who had created it in the central Ohio area, Lawrence and Lee. And to be able to play that role of the wacko Auntie Mame, I love it. I love the fact that she was wacko, and she had all these crazy ideas, and she was passionate about them, and she laughed a lot. And I just love her. And I was so thrilled that I had this model of how to grow as you get older, and follow your passion and follow your dreams, because that's what she did.
What are you up to these days, Joy?
I'm artistic director of a theater company of older women. We write our thoughts about growing older.
Tell me about all the women you know.
When we gather together as women, we each hold a piece of the whole story. I write in my journal about the women I have known, have loved, have hated, have laughed with, have laughed at, have cried with and sighed with. Women so different and yet similar. These women, my friends, the witty ones, the wacky ones, the wondrous ones, the woeful ones, the women in my life. They sit together in a circle in this room, in this cabin in the countryside, brought together from different cultures. Brought together for what reason, I wonder? Why have I ended up here with them? My extraordinary women friends. They astonish me, fascinate me, shock me, comfort me, share with me, annoy me, stimulate me, surprise me, but they never bore me, and they are all part of my story.
Tell me why theater and the arts are vital.
Well, theater, you mean all the arts? Are you talking about all the art?
You know what? Let's just talk theater.
Just theater. Why is theater? Well, I think theater is vital because it brings stories to life. And it is something that everyone needs to be able to have access to. Now, some people have never heard of theater. But for instance, I think there's a wonderful, in America, I love this idea of theater for children. It helps them develop communication skills, and so that's absolutely wonderful. But theater is also used to enlighten people, such as we have the autism on the Spectrum program. So there's so many things. Theater can be used in order to effect change, but theater can be used to inspire, and most important of all, it tells stories. And we all have a story. Whether we share it or not, we all have a story, and those stories are really inspirational when you hear some of those stories. So I personally, theater has enriched my life, and I remember when I was very, very active, first of all in community theater, which was what inspired me to want to go back to Ohio State and do this well, not just be in community theater, but to learn what is good and what are the ways to conduct this the best possible way. And when I did that, I'm so happy that I went into this profession. I also feel very lucky that I had the opportunity. I feel that artists are very privileged to be able to follow their passion. And of course, if you go into theater, you need to have a passion for it in order to succeed.
It's a tough field.
It's a very tough field. But so are all the arts. Music is tough, dance is tough, design is tough. They're all very, very tough fields. You have to have the passion. It's something you are born to do. I believe that anyway.
There's the word from Queen Joy. Will you share one more writing of yours?
36 years of leaving England. The day I am again to leave England, my mother comes into the room early, brings me tea in a china mug and valerian to soothe my nerves. She cannot settle. I cannot sleep. I think of the night before my wedding. I found her doing loads of laundry, washing socks in the middle of the night. 4 decades later, she is fragile. Her skin translucent, hair white, thin. She has a worried look now, often. Except those treasured moments when something funny happens, tears run down her face, we laugh together with uncontrollable giggles, taking in great gulps of air, just as my grandmother used to do, a family trait that I cherish. Now she often forgets what we have agreed upon 5 minutes before. The final moment comes. I don't want to leave. 66 years with a hug goodbye. She watches from the front porch with intense connection. I know, and she knows, that my mother is slipping. As I fly back to America, I remember my friend Joe's advice. It's best not to think about it.
That was absolutely beautiful. Thank you, Joy, for sharing your art and sharing your heart. You are a gift, and I thank you much for taking the time to talk with me and our wonderful audience. And I must commend you on those quick changes. You went from the red and navy blue to the powder blue, back to the red and navy blue. You are quite the superwoman. We have one more accomplished theater maker in the wings. This cool cat has been seen on every soap opera, from Guiding Light to General Hospital to One Life to Live to an episode of The Young and the Restless. He was also in movies such as Love and Other Drugs, yes, the movie with Anne Hathaway, and Unstoppable, yes, the movie with Denzel. I could go on, but just IMDb the man. I present to you the leading man of the department, Mr. Kevin McClatchy.
That's cool.
Mr. McClatchy, how are you, sir?
Good, good. How are you?
Good. Can you tell me a little bit about your TV and film career?
Yeah, let's see, it started in New York. That's where I started my career. I sort of moved there after college. And first TV show, the first professional job I had was on Guiding Light, soap opera. It's now sort of in the dustbin of television history. So yeah, I had a role on that. I played this guy, Vinnie Morrison, who was this sort of irredeemable character. It was supposed to be for 3 episodes. It ended up being 4 months. And because of that, the woman who was the executive producer of Guiding Light then became the executive producer at Another World, which was another daytime show, and she offered me a contract role. Yeah, so that's 2 years as opposed to 4 months. It's nice to be a working actor living in New York. And then I did some independent films as well in New York, and then I moved to LA. My wife and I moved to LA, I guess like 2000, and then I just started doing, you know, getting opportunities to do primetime TV, guest spots like That 70s Show, X-Files, ER, The Practice, all these really great shows, really, and NCS, and NCIS, I mean. So yeah, I had got a lot of primetime stuff, and then I was also got a couple more soap opera jobs too. Of course, it's like as soon as you leave New York, they ask you to come back. Yeah, and then we moved here, and it was really it was kind of a pleasant surprise that Pittsburgh was a hub for television and film. I would not have thought that when I first moved here, but I've been able to do, I don't know, 5, 6 projects out of Pittsburgh. This movie Unstoppable with Denzel Washington, the Runaway Train. Love and Other Drugs with Anne Hathaway and Jake Gyllenhaal. I got to work with both of them, so that was cool. There was a TV movie called The Pennsylvania Miner Story. That was awesome. It was directed by David Frankel, who directed The Devil Wears Prada, and he directed Sex and the City movie, I think. So it was tremendous working with him. The last thing was this TV show that's starting in January on WGN. It's called Outsiders. It's not based on the 80s movie, but it's really cool. It's about this family who lives off the grid in on this mountain in Kentucky. They've been living for generations, sort of like this legendary clan, and then the mountain gets bought by a coal company. And it's a struggle between sort of the family and the modern world encroaching on their existence. And I play a greedy coal executive. So that's on in January. So that was also in Pittsburgh. So yeah, so it's been pretty cool to be able to continue to do my thing while I'm here.
With all the cool people you've worked with, do you have a favorite moment with a fellow celebrity?
Favorite celebrity moment, I think it would have to be, I was doing ER. I was doing an episode of ER, right? And that time was like the biggest show on TV. And I was in a scene with Anthony Edwards. He was one of the stars. And it was one of those sort of snaking, tracking shots, because ER was the first, they were really the first show to make like super use of that Steadicam, where you put the harness on and just track the actors. And the guy who pioneered it was directing that episode, so we used it all over the place. So we're doing this tracking shot, and we come around this corner, and right in front of us is John Glenn in his like a shuttle spacesuit. We're like, what is happening here? And he had just been on Jay Leno on the Tonight Show, which is right down the street from Warner Brothers, and he wanted to visit the set of VR. And so there he was him and the other astronauts. And they were just hanging out. So of course everything came to a complete halt because it was like America's Last Hero was on the set. And I was this fireman, and I had all these, almost like soot and like a really hilarious fake mustache. And they took a picture of Anthony Edwards, myself, John Glenn, and George Clooney, and like 4 other people. And because there was a break, Anthony Edwards goes, let's go over to George's trailer. And I was like, okay, that's cool. And we ended up playing basketball right outside George's trailer. So I was playing hoops with George Clooney and Anthony Edwards for about 45 minutes while John Glenn was receiving visitors and accolades and everything.
That's not cool at all. Just shooting hoops with Clooney and the posse. Mr. Kevin, what is your position here in the Ohio State University's theater department?
Yeah, I'm an assistant professor in the Department of Theater. So I oversee the acting curriculum. Pretty much that's my area of focus. And this is my 3rd year. I'm in like halfway through my 3rd year as a faculty member. And I also sort of have stepped into a leadership role in the Shakespeare and Autism project that we have going on. And yeah, I also am just active with APO, the undergrad organization, pretty dedicated to continuing to make the undergrad experiences sort of rich and diverse in terms of opportunity as I can.
You spend a lot of time working in the world of theater and guiding young theater makers who love the craft of acting. Why would you say theater is vital?
It has the power to change people. I mean, that's kind of the short answer, but it's the true answer. When you go to the theater, there's the opportunity to be moved to something, whether it's to laughter, to tears, or to action. And as the theater maker, it's sort of addictive and irresistible to be able to have a hand in that, to be the causer, or in the contract, more accurately, with that sort of experience where you're moved, the audience member is moved, and we're both better leaving the experience for having the experience than we were when we walked in. That's why it's vital to me. And it's the place where you go to hear the truth. Maybe not facts, but you go to hear and see the truth.
I agree completely. Now, before you go, can you give the audience a taste of your expertise?
No, man. Okay. What would you want? Would you rather have Shakespeare or something that's from a more contemporary play? Because I could do that. What would you rather?
Let's go with Shakespeare.
What's he then that says I play the villain? When this advice is free I give, and honest. Divinity of hell. For whiles this honest fool plies Desdemona to repair his fortune, and she for him pleads strongly to the Moor, I'll pour this pestilence into his ear, that she repeals him for her body's lust, and by how much she strives to do him good, she shall undo her credit with the Moor, thereby turning her virtue into pitch, and out of her own goodness make the net that shall enmesh them all.
Bravo. Thank you, Mr. McClatchy, for taking time out of your busy schedule to kick it with Corey. And I want to thank all of you for tuning in to All the World's a Stage. I'm your host and creator, Corey Lipkins Jr. Hey, AJ, tell the people what to do to get tickets to our main stage productions.
Grab your tickets at the box office.
There you have it. You can also visit theater.osu.edu. Talk to me or any of my special guests from today for more info on the Ohio State Department of Theater. Well, wait a minute. Nobody asked me if I wanted to act a little or recite a piece of something. I have a message for you dreamers. Comes from one of the great poets, Mr. Langston Hughes. The first is called Dreamkeeper, the second is simply called Dreams, and the third is called Dream Deferred. Bring me all your dreams, you dreamers. Bring me all your heart's melodies, that I may wrap them in a blue cloud cloth, away from the too rough fingers of the world. Hold fast to dreams, for when dreams die, life is a broken-winged bird that cannot fly. Hold fast to dreams, for when dreams go, life is a barren field, frozen with snow. What happens to a dream deferred? Does it dry up like a raisin in the sun? Or fester like a sore and then run? Does it stink like rotten meat? Or crust and sugar over like a syrupy sweet? Maybe it sags like a heavy load. doesn't explode. No matter who you are, where you are, how old you are, hold fast to your dreams and never let them die. And don't be afraid to let your light shine, because after all the world's a stage.